Good day, beautiful people, and welcome to the Black Hole Project, the first episode of the Black Hole Project. Now, if I'm being completely honest, I don't even know if I'm going to post this. My friends and I, we have some interesting conversations sometimes, and they tell me I've got a unique perspective on some of the things we talk about, and they tell me I should put it out there. Now, I don't know if I'm going to do that, but my boy Eric told me I need to get in front of the camera and just record. So, as of right now, that's all I'm doing. This is supposed to be a perspective challenging podcast or series or whatever you want to call it, aimed at uplifting the Black community. And so today's episode is going to be about mindset. All right. But before we jump into that, I want to touch on a couple of things. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the racial climate in America right now because it's really weird, right? One of the things that you'll hear a lot from people is that America is a racist country, and that is an idea that I just cannot agree with. All right, now I do believe America is a prejudiced country, but at the same time, like, I don't think that's unique to just America. I think we live in a prejudiced world. I feel like people will always prejudge other people based on experiences that they've had in the past, and it's almost normal, right? The problem with prejudices is that they can lead to discrimination. Now, I think someone can be prejudiced but not discriminate, but again, being prejudiced leaves the door open for discrimination. But man, I just can't agree with America being a racist country. First of all, you've got to understand what racism is. To me, racism is where you have a group, let's say a minority group, that is systematically being deprived the same access to resources that another group, the majority group, has access to. And yes, once upon a time that was the case in America, but I don't believe it's the case now. And I think what we see a lot of is when something negative happens to a person of color, a lot of times they go straight to race. And don't get me wrong, there are racists within this country, but that doesn't make the country racist, right? Like, shit happens. So we're going to talk about all this stuff as we go through this. Again, I don't even know if this is going to be a podcast or a mini series or a YouTube channel. I don't know. But, the more I record, the more we'll talk about. I even plan on having, some of my friends or even people that aren't friends, people that may disagree with me. If you want to come chat with me on here, we can do it together. Because, again, like I said, man, this is just to challenge people's perspective on what they're dealing with on a day-to-day. So now that we got that out of the way, we're going to jump into this mindset topic. All right. So first thing I want to talk about is me and kind of my background and my history, just to give you guys an idea of, why I think the way I think or feel the way I feel. I was born to teen parents, right? My mom was a senior in high school, 17 years old. My dad was, I think, 19 at the time. He had dropped out like 2 years previous to that. And you know what they say about kids born to teen parents, right? There's all kinds of negative things. People that drop out of high school. My dad, I'm talking about my biological dad, he went on to become a felon. Fast forward some years, I drop out of high school. I actually only have my GED. I got my GED, wiggled my way into junior college, dropped out of there, wiggled my way into a university and dropped out of there too, right? So like my highest level of completed education is a GED. But I have a great life, right? Like, so how can a black man, and I'm not the only one, I mean, there's tons of us out there, right? Like, how can a black person whose highest level of completed education is a GED have a great life, right? And like, if you guys follow me on any social media, let me just say, the stuff you see on social media, that's my life, right? Like, that's our life. We are actually having fun doing these cool things, taking these cool trips. I always, joke / brag about working whenever I want to work, because that's true for the most part. So how is it that someone that starts from such, or let's just call it humble beginnings, right, transition into a person with such a great life? Well, it was my mindset. All right. One of the things that my mom always told me growing up was I was born with 2 strikes. I'm black and I'm a male. And I would have to work twice as hard as everyone else to obtain the same amount of whatever I was trying to obtain. And that stuck with me, right? So I'm always willing to outwork the next person. And fast forward now to my adult life, I don't think I have to work twice as hard to get the same amount. In fact, I work twice as hard at my job than pretty much all the guys that carry the same title as I do, and I probably make twice as much money, right? Like, so it is what it is. But again, my mindset is I gotta go out there and I gotta outwork everybody, whether it's work, whether it's, my fitness, whatever. I just hate to be outworked, all right? And I put everything on me. If things don't work out, I'm always trying to figure out what I could have done better, because all I can control is me. I can't control any racist that may be out there. I can't control, anyone else but me. So I love to put it all on me. And it's to a point now where if someone doesn't like me because of my race, it really doesn't bother me, right? Like, you not liking me because I'm black is the same as you not liking me because I have tattoos. It's the same as, when I was single and girls telling me they wouldn't get serious with me because I'm 5'11" and not 6'4", right? Like, who cares, right? Like, there's always someone else out there willing to give you an opportunity if you don't dwell on those missed opportunities, and you're ready to take advantage of that next opportunity that comes up. And so, man, I could talk all day about how my shift in mindset has changed my mind. Obviously a big help with that has been Shayna. I was bad at following through with things before I met her, and she really stressed to me that not following through only guarantees that you're not going to achieve whatever it is you're thinking about or wanting to achieve. And so I'm big on following through now. And man, I think about the most negative times in my life, and there was no one else to blame but me for those negative things that I was going through. No politician could have helped me. No, in fact, if I'm being completely honest, right, like, the shittiest parts of my life was probably the 8 years that Barack Obama was in office, and it had nothing to do with Barack Obama. I'm just saying that to use that as an example as to how much the president and other politicians really have no true impact on your day-to-day life. It was all on me. I did all the things wrong, right, and still have a good life. Dropped out of school. I had a kid before marriage. Actually, I had all 3 of my kids before marriage, but Shayna and I are not married, and we got our 2 kids. But, young, not established, had a kid. Man, I've been to jail. All these crazy things, right? All these negative things that have happened to me, and I still enjoy my life, and I'm happy with my life because my mindset is always, like I said, to put it on me and to outwork everyone else. And so, there are people that tell me, or suggest that I'm only as successful as I am because, I'm a sellout, and I don't know how, right? But, or, people are playing the, what's the word I'm looking for? The diversity game. When I first got hired at the fire department that I worked for, I remember my first couple days on shift, dudes looking at me like, how did you get hired? And I finally had somebody ask me, how did you get hired, right? Because again, young black guy covered in tattoos, also going through the hiring process, right? They gave me this packet. It was like 40 something pages, and it's basically like, fill it out and tell us about every bad thing you've ever done in your life. And one of my boys, Tyler, that was already a fireman, told me, man, just be honest, right? So I wrote everything down, right? Like, have you ever used, sold, or traded illegal drugs? And I'm like, shit, all 3. What drugs? Weed, cocaine, Adderall, everything. I put all this wild shit in there, right? And I still got hired. And the crazy thing was that I wasn't hired just because they were trying to diversify the department, because I was told by one of the people in my panel interview that I was number one on everyone's list after that panel interview. So when they hired the 9 people, or the 8 other people that came in with me, I was number one on everyone's list, right? And I was probably the only guy that had been to jail. I was probably the only guy that didn't have at least a high school diploma. But again, I'm always willing to outwork the next person, and I'm also always willing to own my mistakes. And I think they like that, right? Like just taking that ownership of, my transgressions in the past. So, man, mindset is everything, man. And right now, I think in the Black community, or just people of color in general, their mindset is they cannot succeed. They cannot overcome the oppression and the system and all this other stuff. And man, that is the most limiting thing you can do to yourself, is to tell yourself you cannot do something because of something else that's outside of your control. It strips you of that desire to want to work hard. It's the reason we don't jump off of buildings and try to fly, because we do not believe we can fly. So if you're telling yourself you can't do certain things because of other things outside of your control, you'll never accomplish those things, because you'll never put in that work, you'll never be ready to grind, and you'll never, achieve those things. And so, that's big right there, right? Like, you gotta believe. You have to believe you can do it. You have to believe that you're worth it. You have to believe that you belong. And that's a big thing, believing that you belong. And I think I may save that for a separate episode, because a thing I used to do when I was younger is I used to make this comment of like, oh, that's white people shit, right? And so, boom, you're limiting yourself right there again. And so we'll talk about that in a future episode. But, man, believing you belong, not being afraid to get out of your comfort zone. I found a lot of great things outside of my comfort zone, right? I've become used to being a black face in a white space. First of all, I grew up in the North Gwinnett County area, right? So, like, I went to high school with the country club kids. Then I became a CrossFit coach and gym owner. The CrossFit community is predominantly white. And then I turned around and became a fireman in Marietta, Georgia. I think it was like 6 of us. There was maybe 7. All right, so I'm comfortable with the uncomfortable, and I found a lot of success and met a lot of interesting people that have poured into me just knowledge and shared their experiences, and I can take those things and apply them to my life, and again, find success. So mindset, man. Yeah, I'll probably wrap this up with that. Your mindset needs to be that you're gonna do everything in your power to get you to where you need to be. And if you feel like there's something or someone in your way, then you gotta audible, right? Like, you gotta get out of that and try something new. Put yourself in a different position. I'm gonna wrap it up now for real, man. Mindset is everything. If your mindset is off, like, you can't accomplish anything, man. So you have to believe that you can accomplish whatever, no matter what obstacle pops up, no matter who's standing in your way. If you don't like a situation and you can't change it, you leave that situation. I think that is the beauty of America. There is always opportunity out there. That's why so many foreigners pour into America, right? Like, every major metropolitan in this country has a Chinatown and a little Mexico or a little Havana. Like, you think China got an Inglewood town full of black people? Probably not. Despite whatever obstacles you come across, despite whatever stupid shit you do to set yourself back, there's always opportunity out there to propel yourself forward. And man, that's why I love America, and that's why I find it hard to agree with that idea that America is a racist country, right? But again, it's got to be all about the mindset. And any of my friends that really know me, they know when I do this, right? Anybody's bitching or complaining about something, and I look at them and do this, I'm basically saying, you're being a bitch right now. Get your mind right, because that's the key, right? That's the major key right there, is the mindset. So until next time, I'm out.